Hello everyone, my name is Connor Lynch, and I'm going to be presenting to you my research analyzing the parent-child feeding relationship through the variables of child behavior and feeding relationship disturbance. Just as a heads up before I begin presenting, I've included a downloadable file for the poster in my uploaded resources, as well as information on the two scales that we use to conduct this research. I'll be presenting this welcome video with the image of the poster, so if it appears too small for you to read along as I speak, I encourage you to view the downloadable file as well. With that being said, let's get started. Feeding is the process made up of the child's desire for food, access to food, ability to consume food, and digestion of food. Feeding relationship disturbance is the interference of a healthy feeding relationship at a mealtime by those involved in the environment. Specifically, our research looked at the roles that both the parent and child play in this relationship. A disrupted feeding interaction leads to poor feeding outcomes. We feel that it is important to study other variables as they may be related to higher levels of mealtime disturbance. Child behavior is the way the child acts towards the parent, food, or mealtime. Behaviors include internalizing, externalizing, and attention problems. Previous research has suggested that preschool children with feeding relationship disturbance are more likely to experience behavior dysregulation. There has, however, been limited research on this relationship among school-age children. The aim of this study is to evaluate the relationship between feeding relationship disturbance and child problem behavior. We hypothesize that an increase in disruption to the parent-child feeding relationship will be correlated with an increase in child problem behavior. Our participants were collected through a community sample recruited by students in an advanced psychology course. The surveys contained the About Your Child's Eating Scale, or ACE, and the Pediatric System Checklist, or PSC-17, as a part of a larger online study. Feeding relationship disturbance was measured using the ACE scale. The ACE measures constructs such as child resistance to eating, positive mealtime environment, and parent aversion to mealtime. The feeding relationship disturbance was calculated by adding the child's resistance to eating and parent aversion to mealtime subscales and subtracting the positive mealtime environment subscale. Child behavior was measured using the PSC-17 questionnaire. The PSC-17 measures constructs such as internalizing, externalizing, and attention problems. After running a Pearson's correlation, all correlations were found to be statistically significant. All subscales that measured mealtime interactions were significantly associated with child behavior problems. Much of the focus of past research into the parent-child relationship is centered around how the child causes problems. This data shows that both the child behavior and the actions of the parent are important in this relationship. Many children in the sample were reported by their parents to be above the cutoff scores for the PSC-17 constructs. This means that many of the children in the sample have clinically significant behavior problems. Children with higher internalizing symptoms would not want to deal with the stress of the mealtime environment, resulting in higher scores of child resistance to eating. Parent aversion to mealtime scores higher as the parent would not want to put their child in an environment that causes stress. Children who have higher externalizing symptoms have trouble following rules, which leads to them having higher scores of child resistance to eating. Higher parent aversion to mealtime results from the parent not wanting to fight the child on the environment. Children with higher attention problems have higher child resistance to eating, as they would resist a focused and structured mealtime. Parent aversion to mealtime also would be higher, as they would not want to deal with child's struggle to focus. Child problem behavior was reported the least when children were also reported to have positive mealtime environments. Teaching parents how to create these environments may result in a decrease in these behaviors. Psychologists should utilize this information to teach parents of children with feeding problems how to handle these problem child behaviors and how to interact at mealtimes to reduce feeding problems. Most respondents in our study were female, white, from two-parent households, and of a high socioeconomic background. Thus, there could be difficulty applying findings to diverse groups, including families from different cultural backgrounds, lower socioeconomic status, or single-parent households. As information on child behavior and feeding relationship disturbance were self-reported by the parents, there is also the possibility that parents may have under- or over-reported disturbance in child behavior. We recommend that future studies investigate the marital status of parents in their reporting households to determine if this impacts the relationship between child behavior and parent feeding practices. It is also recommended to conduct this study with a more diverse sample to increase the generalizability of these findings. Thank you for listening. If you have any questions or comments, I'll be waiting in the meeting room. Thank you again.